everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our replay webinar. We're just going to give it one more minute for a few more attendees to join, and then we'll begin shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our LEAP webinar on professional use of AI in law, integrating LEAP's AI tools into research and drafting workflows. My name is Jennifer Lee, and I'm the head of content development here at LEAP Canada. I'll be moderating today's session. The focus today is straightforward: how LEAP's AI tools can help you work more efficiently and consistently while ensuring you remain in control of the legal work and continue to meet your professional obligations. We're also happy to note that this webinar has been accredited by the Law Society of Ontario for one professionalism hour. So just a few quick housekeeping items before we jump in. So today's session will run for approximately 50 minutes in listen-only mode, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. Feel free to submit your questions anytime through the questions panel. And also a reminder that a recording of this session will be emailed to all registrants after the presentation. So for today's agenda, we'll start with a brief discussion on AI and professional responsibility, setting the foundations of how these tools can be used in a way that aligns with real practice standards. From there, we'll move into a series of practical demonstrations following a typical legal workflow. We'll begin with LawY, looking at how AI can support legal research while still maintaining accuracy and verification. Next, we'll move into Matter AI, where we'll show how AI can help analyze and synthesize information directly within your file. We'll then introduce AI prompts for Matter AI, which provide a more structured approach to drafting using predefined templates. And finally, we'll look at LEAP Generator, which brings together precedents, forms, and AI to support efficient document creation. We'll wrap up with a short recap on risk management and compliance, tying everything back to responsible AI use in practice. And then, of course, we'll open it up for questions at the end. So I'd like to introduce today's speakers. You've already heard from me. I'm Jennifer Lee, Head of Content Development here at LEAP Canada, and I'll be guiding us through parts of the session today. Next, we have Christine Kim, a lawyer with LawY. Christine works directly with users and a panel of experienced lawyers to develop and refine LawY's AI legal research capabilities, and she'll be showing us how that fits into real legal workflows. We're also joined by Leslie Machulski, Head of Product at Matter AI, and she leads the development of these tools, focusing on how to bring advanced AI into secure, practical legal workflows. Finally, we have with us today April Young, a legal content specialist here at LEAP. April works closely on developing legal content, as well as the AI-driven drafting tools, which include our AI prompts. So she will be showing us how those work in practice today. Together, we'll be walking you through both the legal and technical perspectives of how AI is being applied in LEAP today. So before we get into the tools, as I mentioned before, we want to take some time to set the context for how AI fits into legal practice. Some of you may already be using AI tools in your day-to-day work. Others may be exploring them for the first time or still deciding whether and how to adopt them. Wherever you are on that spectrum, one thing is clear: AI is starting to influence how legal work is done, particularly in research, drafting, and file management. And this is something the Law Society of Ontario has addressed directly in its guidance on generative AI in its 2024 white paper titled Licensee Use of Generative Artificial Intelligence. In this white paper, the Law Society emphasizes that lawyers remain responsible for all work product they deliver, including work generated with the assistance of AI tools, and must ensure its accuracy and reliability. So even as tools evolve, the professional standard doesn't change. AI can assist with the process, but responsibility stays with the lawyer. So when we talk about AI in practice, it's helpful to think about two things: the risks we need to manage and the responsible duties that continue to apply. So on the slide that we see here, we paired some of the key risks with the corresponding responsibilities that help manage them in practice. So starting with inaccuracy and hallucinations. As we all know, AI can produce outputs that appear confident and well-written, but may not be fully correct. That's where the responsibility of verifying all AI-generated outputs comes in before you rely on them. Next, bias or incomplete outputs. Next, breach of confidentiality and data exposure is a risk, which is especially important when dealing with sensitive client information. This ties directly to the obligation to protect client information and maintain confidentiality at all times. And thirdly, bias or incomplete outputs, particularly where the AI doesn't have the full context of the legal issue or the matter. Here, it's critical to exercise professional judgment, assessing whether the output makes sense in the specific legal and factual context. And finally, the risk of over-reliance on automation. This is where we're treating the AI output as final rather than as a starting point. This is where lawyers must remain accountable for the final work product, ensuring it meets professional standards. So while the risks are new in some ways, the responsibilities themselves are not. They're the same principles that have always guided legal practice, now just applied in the context of AI. So as we go through the tools today, what we'll focus on is not just what they can do, but also how they're designed to support you in meeting these responsibilities. Because the goal isn't just to adopt AI, it's to use them in a way that is practical, efficient, and consistent with how lawyers are expected to practice. So just to make this a bit more practical, we're going to drill down more practical guidance. So firstly, with respect to verifying all AI output, AI is excellent at generating a starting point, so you don't have that blank page problem. But we really always need to remember to review the AI product, a work product, before it's relied on or shared, whether that's to your clients or to other sides or to your own staff. It's important that it's always reviewed. And that applies whether you're drafting a letter, summarizing a file, or reviewing research. Secondly, protecting confidential data. So one of the biggest risks with AI is not knowing where the information is going. So before entering any client information into a tool, you need to be confident that appropriate safeguards are in place. Within LEAP's tools, there are many features designed to help, including options to remove or limit personally identifiable information, aka PII, and those should be absolutely used where appropriate. But it's also important to remember that the responsibility, again, ultimately sits with the lawyer. That means being mindful of what information is being entered in the first place. So for example, when running a LawY search, taking the steps to anonymize or generalize client details where needed. So while we have the tool features designed to support you, the key is using them thoughtfully with confidentiality always top of mind. Third, reviewing privacy and data settings. So it's important to understand how a tool handles your data, whether inputs are stored, reused, or shared, and know how you can adjust settings where possible to limit that. These are the kinds of habits that allow lawyers to use AI safely and confidently in practice. Further, as a firm, it is recommended to develop a clear firm-wide policy outlining which AI tools may be used, for what purposes, and for all staff to understand how risks will be addressed, just like you are here to learn as well. Finally, it's important to review, do your due diligence and review terms of service, functionality, and the limitations of the AI tools you are using. To that end, we'd like to point you to the Trust Center websites, which are really your go-to resources for any detailed questions around data security and compliance. These Trust Center websites that I've noted here on the links provide access to information such as security practices and infrastructure, data handling and storage policies, privacy frameworks and terms of service, and independent compliance documentation like SOC 2 reports and audit materials. So for example, On these Trust Center websites, LEAP makes available documentation on its security controls and certifications through the Trust Center, including reports that demonstrate how client data is protected and managed within the platform. So if your firm is conducting due diligence, whether that's your IT team, compliance, or risk review, these are the best places to go for detailed, up-to-date information. So now with this foundation set, let's now turn to our AI tools. So we're going to start where many legal tasks begin, which is research. So Christine, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jen. So I'm going to first give you a quick overview of LawY, and then I'll jump into a quick demo. So LawY is your AI legal research assistant that generates responses to your legal questions, which can be verified by qualified Canadian lawyers if you request verification. It can assist with a variety of tasks, as you can see on this slide here, including legal research, drafting, analysis, and summarizing information. LawY goes beyond typical AI-generated responses to make our platform purpose-built for lawyers. So firstly, we ensure that all AI answers are tailored to your province and matter type, often with linked resources at the end of the answers. And for those who may be hesitant of using AI, we have a real human lawyer in the loop where you can submit any AI answer for verification, and it will be reviewed by an experienced local lawyer who will look at the AI answer and make any changes where needed. Submitting for verification is free and included within your LEAP subscription, so I would encourage you to leverage this feature. These human verified answers then contribute to our ever-expanding legal knowledge base, and the verified answers strengthen the accuracy of future AI answers. We've also included the necessary safeguards to protect your privacy, so we don't use your input to train AI models, ensuring that your client's sensitive information stays secure and ring-fenced. And as Jen already mentioned, I would encourage you to visit our Trust Center, where there will be a lot of detailed information regarding LawY security and privacy. So using LawY is very intuitive. It's a simple 3-step process. You would first ask your legal questions and receive the instant AI answers. Then you would view a list of all substantive legal questions that are extracted from your conversation, and you can select which questions you want to explore deeper. And you can also request deep research for more in-depth answers to your legal questions, and you can request verification at that step. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo to hopefully encourage you to start trying out LawY. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so this is the LawY interface. Hopefully you've already noticed the LawY button in LEAP, but in order to access LawY, you simply need to open any matter in LEAP. You'll notice a Research AI LawY button at the top in the correspondence pane, and clicking on that button will lead you to this LawY interface that you see on the screen. And you can immediately start asking your questions in the chat box that you see at the center there. There's essentially 2 ways to interact with LawY. First, from within the matter you've already opened. So here you can see it's an Ontario divorce and separation matter that I've opened. So I can start asking questions in that province and practice area. As a tip, I recommend to users not to ask questions under practice management because that's a more generic matter type. Instead, ask questions under a substantive matter such as family law, real estate, wills and estates. This ensures that you get the most tailored response, and it also ensures that it goes to our appropriate verifiers if you submit it for verification. You can also ask questions in a different province and practice area. So let's say you practice multiple areas or you happen to have a legal question in a different practice area. You would simply select New Matter. You would select the region that you have a question in. So let's just say it's BC. And then you would select the practice area. So let's say I have an employment law question. I can click General Advice Employment. You can name the matter, whatever is easy to remember. So Let's just call it BC employment. And then if you create matter, it will automatically set the matter type to the new matter that you created. And this is an easy way for you to start asking questions in different practice areas without having to create a new matter in LEAP. So in terms of getting started, of course, there's so many different types of questions that you can ask LawY, whether you're looking to double check your understanding of a legal principle, explore an unfamiliar area of law, or anytime you have a legal question that comes to mind as you're working on your file, I would encourage you to ask that question to LawY to see what sort of response it provides. Use it as a starting point for your file work or legal research so that you're not starting from a blank slate. So I'm just going to copy and paste a sample question here, which is a family law question. What factors would a court consider when deciding whether to grant an extension of time to make an equalization claim after the limitation period has expired? So LawY uses a large language model to process your legal questions and generate instant AI answers. So as you can see here, it's providing an overview to this question. Of course, the more details you put into your question, the more tailored the response you'll receive. So that's another tip that I have, is to include as much relevant information into the question so that LawY can take that into consideration in its answer. Because my question was quite broad, it's going to give a broad overview to the question. So it's talking about, was the delay incurred in good faith? Would the other party suffer substantial prejudice because of the delay? And then the other useful feature that we have is our linked resources at the end of the AI answers. And this, if you click on any of the cases, it will direct you to CanLII to ensure that you have access to the cases. But instead of clicking on one of these cases, another tip that I have is to use LawY to summarize the cases for you. So I'm just going to ask it to summarize one of the cases it cited, heavy and heavy. And this can save you significant time up front. So instead of reviewing the case in full from the get-go, getting a summary of the case for you to then determine whether the case is actually relevant to your file can save you significant time. And LawY can summarize these lengthy cases in a very structured way. So it will highlight the material facts. It will highlight the issues, the decision, the reasoning. You can also provide more instructions to LawY and what you want from the summary. So if there's a specific issue you want the summary to focus on, you can certainly give those instructions to LawY. So then after reviewing the summary, you can determine whether you want to read the decision in full. And of course, we recommend that you actually look at the decision instead of just relying on the summary, but the summary will definitely save you time up front. And then another follow-up question that I can ask LawY for help with is a drafting question, because we all know that drafting is another time-consuming task. And that's really one of the practical ways that you can use LawY, is to streamline client communication. So not just about legal concepts, but sometimes clients will ask you what to expect at a court appearance, or how a certain concept works. Instead of starting from a blank slate and drafting that kind of communication, ask LawY to produce the first draft for you. And then all you need to do is to look at it, tailor it if necessary, but it will save your client significant fees if you're using AI to help you with that drafting. All right, and then the other feature that I wanted to highlight for you is this deep research and human verification option at the top right here. So if you click on that button, what you're asking LawY to do is to extract all the substantive legal questions from the conversation that you would like to get more in-depth answers to. So it's extracted the question about the limitation period. It's not going to extract drafting questions because we've determined those kinds of questions are not suitable for deep research, and only the user really has enough knowledge of the file to produce accurate drafts. But for legal substantive questions, it will extract that. And then you can also submit it for verification. And then if you click next, it will also extract any conversation details, which you can edit. So let's say, for example, the ages of the parties in your file are pertinent, you can include that to say, the parties' ages or whatever it is. You can also extract matter details from your file that you want LawY to consider, and they're all editable text boxes, so you can feel free to type whatever you want LawY to consider in its deep research answer, and then when you submit it for verification, the deep research answer will be generated as well as submitted for verification to one of our experienced verifiers. And to locate the deep research answers, you would just navigate to the left-hand pane here for the deep research, and then the verifications once it's complete. All right. The deep research answers tend to take about 15 to 30 minutes to generate, but it would be a much more in-depth answer to your question than the instant AI answer that you would have received. All right, so that's the end of my quick demo. Hopefully that's giving you some ideas of how to use LawY, and now I'll turn it back over to Jen.
Thank you very much, Christine. So now we will move on to our next AI tool, which is Matter AI. So Matter AI is one of the most powerful features of LEAP because it works inside your file, your documents, your correspondence, and your critical dates. And if you've ever inherited a file from another lawyer and thought, where do I even start? Matter AI was made for that moment. So I'll pass it on to you, Leslie.
Thanks, John. I'm having a little difficulty sharing.
Yep, well, I'll have you share the screen after this slide.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm going to walk you through some basic key features of Matter AI. I'll show you how it works and highlight a few powerful legal use cases that you can use. What's nice about Matter AI is that it's not a separate tool that you need to switch to, like a GPT or Claude. It lives right inside your matters, right where you're already working. But before I start, I do want to point out one thing specifically, and it's important. Matter AI is a closed system. What this means is everything stays within LEAP. Your client's privileged information is not going outside of LEAP's environment and is fully protected. So now let's jump right in. All right. So here I am inside a estate planning matter. And I'm going to navigate up here to the Matter AI chat. If you haven't used it already, you can find it on the toolbar. And I'm just going to start off with something really simple and just say, summarize this matter. And you can ask just about anything to get quick insights into your matter. And what Matter AI is doing right now is reviewing all of your documents you've saved in your matter in the correspondence file that have been ingested. That would be Word documents, PDF, Excel spreadsheets, and even handwritten notes. Now, I do want to note here that we do reference everything that Matter AI has produced their response from. But if something isn't here that you believe should be, I do want to point out that we do have a view document status here, which allows you to look and see which documents have been ingested. So if something's not showing up, you may be able to find that it hasn't been ingested and you need to retry ingesting it, or maybe it's just not a supported file. But going back to our question here, summarize this matter. Now, this is a pretty broad question, and it does give me a good overview of the matter, but the more specific the prompts or questions, that you provide to Matter AI, the more targeted the answers are going to be. So let's go ahead and be a little bit more specific now. And I'm going to navigate here up to new chat. And we just chatted about the entire matter. So you do have an option to chat about documents, about a specific folder that you may have saved a whole bunch of documents in, or about a fact page. I'm going to go into specific documents now. And you can use the search bar here to pull out the particular documents you want. I want to look into all the 2012 documents. So there's 3 of them here. I'm going to choose one, type in 2012 again, and again. And I'm going to go ahead and start a chat on those 3 documents, or I'm going to start it on 2. It didn't pick up that last one because I didn't select it, but I'm going to ask, what are the key facts in these documents? So instead of opening each document and piecing it together manually, I can extract the key facts in seconds. Beneficiaries, executors, assets, conditions, a complete picture of the matter instantly. And you can see here that it has pulled this information out. So now that we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and navigate back over to the first one, since we were talking about the whole entire matter, and start using a use case that you can use it for. For example, spotting any conflicts. So let me go ahead and ask, are there any potential conflicts or issues in this estate I should be aware of? Now, this is where it really starts to feel like a second set of eyes. It's reading across the entire matter and flagging anything that warrants closer attention. Conflicting conditions, ambiguous allocations, potential disputes between beneficiaries. Things that are easy to miss when you're deep diving into documents. Now, remember I said that everything is referenced here? Well, I do want to point out that Matter AI can make mistakes, so I strongly recommend that you verify the output against the source documents. Now, each of these documents we've provided easy access to, where you can open them directly in Word to be able to verify those responses. You can even chat about that specific document, or you can preview them here right in Leap. So now let's bring this all together and draft a letter of advice. Oops. A letter of advice to my client, summarizing their estate planning options. So when it's time to update the client, I'm not writing from scratch. Matter AI is not just drafting from a blank generic template, but drawing from everything it knows on your matter. You can then refine this draft and make it your own. So here it has written a letter to the client, summarizing the options. So now what you've just seen is time back in your day. Less time reviewing documents, more time advising your client through what is often one of the most significant moments in their life. This isn't replacing your expertise, it's clearing the path so you can apply it where it counts. So now that you've seen how Matter AI gives you insights into your documents, our custom prompts take it one step further. April is going to show you how expertly crafted, detailed prompts can turn those insights into comprehensive documents. Ready to work for your legal practice. Over to you, April.
Well, thank you, Leslie, and hello, everyone. And as Leslie has mentioned, our AI prompts are a more customized version and a more specific version of situations. They're designed for situations that are common or occur on a more frequent basis, such as drafting an affidavit for a motion to extend time to serve a claim. So instead of having to go into Matter AI and giving it all the instructions, you can just open up a prompt and it will generate a first draft of a letter or a legal document or a summary based on the instructions of on the prompt very quickly. So here I have a civil litigation matter open, but I do want to note that our prompts are not just for civil litigation. They're also in other areas of law, such as family law and wills and estates, and we're actively developing new prompts as well. So here you'll find the prompts in Forms and Precedents folder. And if you go to AI Prompt Library Civil Litigation, you will see our library of civil litigation prompts that's available for Ontario. So we will now open up a prompt for an affidavit for a motion to extend time to serve a claim. For time's sake, I have already opened it. And so here's how the prompt looks like once it's opened. This is Matter AI on the right-hand side. As you can see, it is on the add-in that's generally on our documents. On the left-hand side is the prompt itself. And as we go through it quickly, you can see that there's 4 sections to the prompt. There's a purpose, there's a role telling Matter AI what kind of role you're supposed to be generating the document from, what kind of tone you're supposed to use. Some prompts, like this example, have a preliminary question. So this one, it will ask you to identify the defendant, a specific defendant, if there's more than one defendant on the matter. And here we have the template section. This is basically the main instruction to Matter AI for what information that they're looking for and what format that they're supposed to generate the output in. And finally, we have a rules section. This is the rules for the specific prompt and the specific situation for Matter AI so that they will follow the correct instructions. And so now we will put in the answer to the preliminary question, which is the defendant on my test matter, Frenchmate Toronto. And once you enter it, it will take a moment to generate for Matter AI to process through the documents that are saved on this matter, and then it will pull the relevant information as instructed by the prompt, and it will generate the content. As we're waiting, I do want to note that Matter AI will only read the correspondence on the specific matter that the prompt is open in. So this ensures that the output is limited to that client's files only. And now you can see that the draft is being generated on the add-in. I will make the add-in bigger and I will make it a little bit smaller so we can see the full, see it a little bit better. And here we go. So this is how the generated first draft looks like. As you can see, it has the paragraphs that we've instructed it to put in as well. So a beginning paragraph stating who's the deponent for this affidavit, what's happening, the background facts, because this is requesting for extension of serving of claim. So we have asked it to draw the attempts that have been made to serve the document. And as you can see, it has listed all the attempts that was in the notice of attempted service attempts. So we also have a small affidavit exhibits section. As you can see here, the prompt will reference the exhibit, and it will show the exhibit section here. We do have a small section on each of our prompt that notes that AI was used. This is just for general use for users as well as for legal use as well. We also have the section that shows you which documents were referenced. So this is quite handy in case you need to go back to the actual Word document to see what's actually been written in your documents. So some of the other things that you can do with Matter AI on this prompt is that you can ask Matter AI to improve upon this draft, elaborate further on each individual paragraph. If you want to ask Matter AI to elaborate on the individual paragraph, there's a little bubble icon here. And once you press it, you can ask Matter AI to just change this paragraph or to refine it further. So here you can ask it to please make this shorter. And once you give it the instruction, it'll take a moment for Matter AI to regenerate the draft. As you can see, this was the paragraph that we've requested Matter AI to make it shorter, and it has made it quite short indeed. The other way to ask Matter AI to refine on this draft is you can use this toolbar at the end of this Word section. We have all this draft drafted in the law clerk. So let's say we want it to be drafted as the lawyer for the lawyer to be the deponent. So please make the deponent Alex Scott instead of Adam Cooper. And so it takes a little time sometimes if you have a lot of files on your Matter as well. But as you can see here, Matter AI has now regenerated the draft, and it is now drafted it with Alex Scott, the lawyer, on the file as the deponent instead of the law clerk. Another way to make to personalize your prompts is you can change the prompt itself. So on the left-hand side, let's say for all of your prompts, you don't want the law clerk to be the deponent. You can change that on the prompt itself. So I will demonstrate that. If you remove Adam Cooper, and you just say, I am Alex Scott, the lawyer. And once you are happy with your changes on the template itself, you can reload, press reload on the Matter AI add-in. And from thereafter on, any changes you make or you ask Matter AI on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side to change, it will follow the template instructions, and you do not have to instruct Matter AI each individual time. So when you're satisfied with your draft and you'd like to work on the draft yourself, you can copy the generated draft and then paste it on a new document. So now you can see it will now generate all the prompts, all the other drafts as Alex Scott as a deponent. We do emphasize that the content generated by these prompts, it's just the first draft only, and it's intended for users to review, make amendments to, and verify the accuracy of the drafts. Our AI prompts provide a shortcut for users when you need to draft a commonly used document. So this really helps save users time that they can use for maybe further research, preparation, or correspondence on the matter. And I did notice at the beginning of the session with the polling question that a number of you have mentioned that drafting documents have taken up is the most time-consuming part of your day. So hopefully this will save you some time. And it's taking a little bit for it to generate. But yes, so once it's finally generated, this is the copy button. So you can copy it and then you can paste it on a new Word document. And so that's the end for my section. I'll pass it back to Jen.
Thanks, April. Share my screen now. Awesome. Well, now we are at our last AI tool, which is Lead Generator. So Lead Generator is about something every lawyer wants more of, and that is not reinventing the wheel. The Leap Generator empowers Leap users to streamline precedent and template searching and selection so you can save time from manually searching in various places. This approach is further enriched by integrating LawY to aid with the creation of new templates as well. So the Leap Generator uses AI-powered similarity search to identify documents from the following precedent sources, template sources. So that's your own precedents, including your own firm precedents, precedents from By Lawyers, which is a companion product, precedents from our Leap forms, and LawY precedents, including those verified by the panel. This means that instead of hunting through folders or old files, you can describe what you need and see multiple options in one place. So let's dive in now and take a look. I'm going to now open a Leap Matter. We have for us here. I have opened a divorce and separation matter for us in this case. So we are in a family matter, and you can access Generator by going again to the Forms and Precedents icon in your Details and Correspondence tab. And go to the Generator tab, which right now it's defaulting to. See here, and in the search bar, I am going to ask it to draft a letter to opposing counsel requesting financial disclosure. And as you can see here, there's other kind of suggested options here too, but it's really the search bar that you're going to be putting your search. And just to note, if it's the first time that you're using Generator, you will get a notification pop up about the safe use of AI. I've already used it before, so it didn't come up for me, but that might be the case for you if it's your first time. And now we'll see on the left-hand side various results under the categories that I mentioned to you before. And then on the right-hand side is a preview pane. So firstly, you can see any LawY generated answers. If there had been one that was related to this question, the search, and that had been verified, you'd also be seeing the verified answers. In this case, there doesn't seem to be another verified answer. And so we're going to see a LawY generated response to this letter, which I can click on, and it will then show us in the preview plane, which is also resizable. So we can see here on the right-hand side, it's drafting this letter to opposing counsel requesting financial disclosure. You can see here at first there's going to be lots of placeholders for matter details. It's asking for financial statement, income disclosure, all the different categories that you would ask for. It also even provides an optional shorter version and some practical customization points. So hopefully, as you look at this draft here, you'll see that this can be a really helpful, again, first draft. So you don't have that blank page problem. And of course, the important thing is that the lawyers still have to use this not as an autopilot, but as a drafting accelerator, meaning you have to review the tone, content, accuracy, and professional appropriateness before sending out. But again, it does cut out the blank page problem dramatically, and it's especially useful for new scenarios you're encountering or where you've never drafted a letter or similar or document before. So this can be a really great starting point. The other thing to note on the left-hand side then, going back here, is that we're also seeing any search results from my correspondence as well as the firm's correspondence. So I do see here that in this other file for Brophy, there was a letter to opposing counsel. And once again, if I click on that, I'll be able to preview that pane, preview that. And so here too, this is a letter that was previously used, and I might want to use that as an example, or from firm correspondence, or from firm precedents. Here, none of these look specific, particularly relevant, so I wouldn't be choosing from here, but you'll see the results, and I'll go over kind of how you can also customize how broad or how exact you want your search terms to be. But before we go there, I wanted to note you also would see any precedents that relate that are from by lawyers, which is a companion product to LEAP. This companion product provides a suite of drafted precedents as well as commentary and matter plans. So if you have a by lawyer's subscription, you'll be able to access any of the relevant by lawyers precedents as well. And that is the same case for any LEAP forms or precedents that we have. So again, here we do have a letter to other side's lawyer with a disclosure request. So this is all to say this gives you multiple options to choose from. Once you find the version that you are wanting to go with as your first draft, you are able to create this as either a document, which will then will launch Microsoft Word, or as an email, which will then launch Outlook for you. Or alternatively, you can always copy and paste and then put this into your Word document or whichever place that you want to add it to as well. So as I was mentioning a little briefly before, you are able to customize the result relevancy. So if you go to that little levers tab icon you see on the right-hand side here, and I choose this, you can see that you can customize the result relevancy. So here, if I make everything really broad, as opposed to exact, then you could likely see different changes in what then when chose, as opposed to if you're exact, then you'll have less choice or less results, and you'll see less that are applicable. It depends kind of your comfortability and how much you want it to be, what kind of results that you want. The other thing that I wanted to note is on the right-hand side here, again, you have the cog. And this is really where you can boost the efficiency of Generator by uploading your precedents to LEAP. So when you click on that cog icon, it gives you some easy, simple ways to access uploading. And this is where Generator becomes even more powerful, because if you do upload your precedents, it's not just searching general content, but it's leveraging your firm's own knowledge base and IP. So you have the ability to upload firm-wide precedents, which are visible to all users across your organization. So this helps with ensuring consistency in drafting and allows your team to benefit from tried and tested documents. So if you uploaded your firm precedents here, and then it's very easy to upload the files, whether they're on your desktop or in a drive, you can upload the whole folder. But at the same time, you recognize how valuable and sensitive precedents can be, and they might really be your own personal IP. So within Generator, there's also this option to upload personal precedents, which here are called old precedents. And these are precedents that will be only visible to you. So this gives you a dedicated space to store and reuse documents that you may not want to be shared more broadly across your firm, because we know that balance is important. We want you to take advantage of shared knowledge where appropriate, while still maintaining control over your own work product. So whether you're drawing from firm precedents, your own personal library, or AI-assisted drafts, a Generator is designed to bring all of those sources together in one place, making it easier to find and build from the best starting point. I'd also like to note here that there are settings for, again, PII utilization, and those are kind of the tools that I was mentioning before. We do have these tools where it makes it easy makes it such that no identified information in LawY is ever used for accuracy, so you can choose never. And I'd like to finally point out that, like Matter AI, and like what Leslie had shared about Matter AI, Generator also operates inside LEAP's secure environment. So meaning that there is encrypted storage firm level segregation, so no other firms seeing your own IP, and controlled access. So the AI is working inside your firm's database and not sending client facts or sharing any of your precedent IP into an open system. So now, before we move on to into questions, we want to bring everything together. So we've looked at several different AI tools today: LawY, Matter AI, AI prompts and generator, and each of them is designed to support a different part of your workflow. But across all of them, the same principles apply. First, security and confidentiality. These tools are built within a secure environment with safeguards around how data is handled and processed, which is essential for legal practice. All of our AI tools use enterprise-grade models accessed via AI API. And most importantly, client data is not used to train models. Data remains within the LEAP environment, and processing is done in a controlled, secure system. So from a practical standpoint, this is very different from using a generic public AI tool where those controls may not exist. This kind of architecture is what allows AI to be used in a way that aligns with confidentiality and professional expectations. Second, verification measures. You'll have noticed throughout the demos that the tools are designed to support review, whether that's through source references, structured prompts, or lawyer in the loop verification. And third, compliance and responsible use. AI is most effective when it's used as an assistive tool to generate first drafts, to surface insights, to save time, but always with lawyer oversight. So the takeaway is not just that AI can make your practice more efficient, it's that when used properly, it can do so while still maintaining the standards expected of legal professionals. And that's really the goal of everything we've shown today. Thank you, everyone. So now we will turn to our Q&A time for any questions that may have arisen from what you've just seen in terms of the training. So let me just bring up our screen for the Q&A. Okay. And if you could enter any questions that you have into the questions panel, we will get to those questions today. And if there are any questions that are unanswered, we will definitely email you back with the answers. So I see one question that has come in. This seems to be for LawY. So could you go over again how LawY protects any client confidentiality?
Sure, yes, I can definitely answer that question with regards to client confidentiality. So there's a number of features that LawY has to protect your client's confidentiality. Firstly is that we have a user-centric model, so your conversations stay private just to you. Only each user can see their own conversations. And we also note that users' conversations are never used to train any AI models. So we have zero data retention policies in place with the LLM providers that we use, meaning that any data that you enter into your questions, it's processed transactionally, but it's not retained by any of the LLM models. The other thing that we do encourage users to do is to make sure that you remove any personally identifiable information in your question before submitting it, because usually PII is not pertinent to the actual AI response. So instead of typing in the client's name, we recommend that you put placeholders instead. But even any inadvertent disclosure of PII, it will be scraped by our model. And if for some reason it slips through the cracks there, we do instruct our verifiers to make sure that they manually delete any PII when they are reviewing the AI answer.
Thank you. I have another LawY question for you. What happens if LawY hallucinates information?
Yes. So I understand that that is a concern for some lawyers or their reluctance to maybe try using AI because of the risk of hallucinations. And Unfortunately, it is a reality that hallucinations can occur with any AI tool, but the lawyers that are currently leveraging AI in their practice, they understand the benefits and limitations of using AI. So they understand that at the end of the day, AI is meant to assist you and save you time in your tasks, but as the lawyer using AI, you still have to do your due diligence, fact check the answers that you're getting from AI, but recognizing that AI can certainly speed up your work, so that you just need to be reviewing as opposed to manually finding the information yourself, will still save you a lot of time.
Thank you. Here's a question I think relates to the AI prompts. So is LEAP able to provide pinpoint references when generating answers to prompts? So currently, as you would have seen it from April's demo, it does refer to the documents that were used to generate the response at the bottom. So you'll see the list of documents, but it doesn't pinpoint, per point that is made or per response paragraph, which reference it's referring to. So that would definitely be a feature request. I think it's a great suggestion. That's something we can send up to our Matter AI product team too. But currently, as it is, it doesn't pinpoint, for each specific answer in the prompt response, but you will see at least all of the references that were used to generate the whole response. Let's see, another question we have is, can users amend the prompts? So yes, like with any other of the LEAP forms and precedents, you always have the option to right-click on the precedent. Same thing for the AI prompts in your browser screen of when you're looking up the forms and precedents. And then when you right-click, you have the options to edit the precedent or to duplicate the precedent and create a new one. So if you want to edit the precedent, the template itself, that's how you can change, as April would have showed us on the left-hand side, the prompt information. That's where you can always customize it, or you can customize per prompt as they're created, or you can always duplicate and have your own version as well. Let's see, can we suggest or make new prompts? So the LEAP content team, who is responsible for creating the prompt library, we are always open for suggestions for new prompt ideas, and especially if those are prompt ideas that are going to help, the larger market, the client base, just even beyond your own firm. And so you can always go to our help center where there is a feedback section, and there's a feedback section specifically for the content development team as well. So that's one way that we would welcome your suggestions. You can also email us at contentca@leaplegalsoftware.ca for any prompt requests, and we would love to create them or even work with you to create them. And we've done that a few times with previous clients as well. So we really welcome that from our clients. Okay. I don't think that's the last of the questions that we have. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us for today's replay webinar. Kindly complete the webinar feedback survey that's going to pop up after the close of the webinar, so we can always improve our webinars. And otherwise, hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Thank you.